What's up, everyone? It is Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. Got one trade for you on Roku. Just wanted to break down my thought process on this, some good psychology tips, how we should be thinking when we're taking a trade or placing a trade at least. And let's just get right into it. So, first things first, let's look at a higher time frame analysis on Roku. We've got a nice daily chart here. And as you can see, Roku's been in a beautiful uptrend. It's been, 5 massive green candles here, a little bit of consolidation up here, but still, nonetheless, still going strong. This is a terrible RBNR structure, but I guess you can somewhat classify this as an RBNR structure. So yeah, we got some daily supply up here, but that's all right. Something to just keep in mind. But the level we were watching today was 444.8, or just in that general area, 444 to 445. So that general area. One thing to note here is we saw kind of this weak volume on a red day. So interesting to note here. But let's just get right into it, break it down a little bit even further. Let's find out how I got that level. Okay, so if we go on a higher time frame analysis, actually let's go to even higher. Let's just go to 180 days. You could see that this 444 level has been acting as some kind of resistance and also support here. So it's been touched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 times, and even more over here. You could see that all of Friday it was touched as well, and a little bit this week, kind of. But we were just watching, waiting for that level to break, and yeah. So before we get into the trade itself, let's take a look at what the market was doing. Today, the market had a weird day. We stayed in this range for NQ, about a 50-point range almost, 40 points. I'll call it 50. But nothing much happened, a lot of choppy. So it wasn't a sell-off, wasn't an uptrend, just kind of chop. And same thing with ES. Let's look at the S&P here. You can see that it also was kind of choppy-ish, kind of a little bit of, but more of an uptrend per se. So definitely some strength with that, stronger than NQ, as you can tell. Yeah, but overall, chop across the board until about power hour, 3 o'clock, which is when volume kind of came back in. We started off nicely and then kind of consolidated. And then at all-time highs. Okay, so let's get into the trade itself now. So with that in mind, ES, the trade happened around, let's take a look. It approached our price approached our level right around 145, 150 area, which was, you can see right about there in choppy town here. So nothing too alarming. One thing that I've starting to notice here is as long as we have enough confirmation, it doesn't really matter as long as ES or NQ are not taking a nosedive. If they're choppy, that's something to just keep in mind, but nothing too scary to pay attention to. And also, look at where ES is trading at. ES it opened up strong. It's above, this pre-market high here, which is super important. Actually, pre-market high was up here, but you get the idea though. It had a nice recovery at the open. It was strong. ES was strong, and same with NQ. You can see that NQ was not even, it wasn't really trading lower. Sure, you could say that overnight it was high, but it's not like it took a nosedive, and that's something that to keep in mind. And that's not to say that we had this, we had this downtrend, but what I'm trying to say is that you obviously don't want to go heavy size here, right? You don't want to go heavy size as long as you size down a little bit and you're just cautious. You're just kind of wary of the market. Then that's okay. And the reason why I say this is because we had so much confirmation on Roku. The confirmations that we had that are strong confirmations, these aren't, weak confirmations. I mean, maybe the daily RBNR was kind of a weak confirmation, but everything else was super nice. So, as you could see, Roku was kind of following the same thing as NQ. It was kind of choppy in the morning, but the one thing that I didn't like was we were constantly grinding higher. And the volume wasn't out of the ordinary either. As you can see that it was pretty low volume, to be honest. So this trade kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't really looking to play Roku once I saw the weak volume in the morning here. This really isn't much. But the idea to keep in mind here is, and this is super, super important, we have this level here. We have a defined 444.8 level. Does not really matter, in my opinion, what I've noticed, what we've done, leading up to it. And what I mean by that is, again, the market is kind of weird. It's kind of choppy. Same with ES, kind of choppy, a little bit trending up. And we're still at all-time highs or around there. Roku's been really, really strong. But at the same time, it had weak volume, right? It had weak volume. And the way to think about it is, how does the market work? Well, the market works because, we have buyers and sellers. We have participants. And for whatever reason, the buyers were stronger than sellers because they, there was news that came out, which I'll get into in just a second. But buyers really wanted to drive this thing higher. And so for this I'll draw a little rectangle here. For this amount of time here, buyers and sellers were kind of agreeing. And we knew that at 444.8, that this is a key level. This is a key level. So think about this level as a tug of war. So if we have, sellers sitting up here, we need to see that sellers are defending this level, defending this 444.8 level. And if not, we're going to see kind of like a snowball effect. What this move was basically buyers kind of gearing up for the snowball effect higher, which is exactly what happened here. For whatever reason, buyers were consolidating here. They were gathering their orders. And you can even see here is a beautiful, beautiful confirmation here. We are creating higher lows the entire day in our consolidation. So even though we were on weak volume, there were buyers present. And not exactly a lot of them, but there were buyers present. There was, higher low here, higher low here, higher low here, and then here's where the snowball really took off. We had another higher low here as well. And now we're kind of gathering our troops. We're kind of getting our army here for the move higher and the explosion, which is exactly what happened. We even tested high day here. We failed a little bit because buyers said, all right, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. And I was even alarmed here. I set my alert. I said, all right. And you can even see that kind of volume started to pick up a little bit here. But we weren't ready. So that's okay. Still waiting for price to come up to this 444.8 level. So what happens, we have this bullish price action here. We have this level here, another confirmation. Daily RBNR. Volume not the best, so we needed to wait for volume. And that's another confirmation. Momentum. We had this strong momentum here. We had an RBNR here above high day. First confirmation, which was pretty key. And then look at this. We had this beautiful, so if you this is what I was seeing before this nice explosion here that we had. This is where I really got interested, this 444 level. We had this nice little uptrend in volume. So then I was like, okay, something is going on here. Why are we, at the weird time of the day, 2 in the afternoon? What's going on here? We've got NQ and ES still consolidating. We're not in a nosedive, so, no, we're not selling off here. So Roku's saying, all right, we're going to let the market do its own thing. If Roku, wants to take off, if buyers want to push this thing higher, it will. And the reason why it will is because, again, price precedes news. We found out that Apple bought Roku's remote. So that's obviously what drove this price higher, which was super, super important. So an idea to think about it is if price wants to go higher, it will. Again, that's not to say you're going to take calls if NQ and ES are selling off. There's no reason to play calls. If NQ and ES are selling off and, given that Roku's a tech stock, it's somewhat correlated with NQ. So again, if NQ was just, a nose dive down, really, really no point, very weak, low probability trade. Given the fact that NQ was still kind of choppy and still kind of, grinding a little bit lower, we were down here at one point. You can see that around the 150 area, we were kind of below VWAP. We were kind of, making lower highs here. So not the best price action by any means. However, we were still supported here. We were in this range, nothing to be too concerned about. And given the amount of confirmation that we had with the bullish price action on Roku, there was no reason not to take this trade with at least minimal size. So even if you wanted to size down to even half position, given the move, you could have made just as much money, which is a super important lesson to understand. And what I mean by that is even if you played one contract, which is what I was even looking at, the one contract that I looked at was, I was going to buy in at $5, and it made its way all the way up to around $14, $15, which is 300%, which is absolutely insane. And sure enough, we found out that right about here, actually at this 155 candle is where price came out, or excuse me, news came out. And what do you know? Nice scalp, nice winner, beautiful day, and we can call it a day from there. So the entry here was the RBNR right before this level. And again, look at this increasing volume. That's huge. We have momentum going with it. We have the momentum here. Our troops are ready. We're ready to explode through this level. It's looking good. We have this nice RBNR here. Here's the entry. Really no reason to sell. Maybe you scale one or two off here if you're playing multiple contracts, some decent size. Again, really no reason to sell up at here either. Maybe you take another one off. First time you should really sell again is here. Very rarely are we going to see a move like this. Very rarely are we going to see a candle come up hugely green here and then just all of a sudden just drop down below. It's just not going to happen. And again, picture this candle when it was green. If we had a green candle that reached 456, great. It drops back down to 452. Okay, now you sell, right? Now you scale one off. If it drops below, 450 again, you kind of keep having this trailing stop here. I probably would have exited my full position here if I was playing huge size. Or maybe just leave a runner here to make this, to hit this 458 target or 1 hour supply that we had up here. But because I was playing with such small size, the exit is here, and just to collect profit. And the contracts were pretty much double, $5 to $10 here. Up here, about $14 to $15 and it even went even higher. And contracts reached all the way up to like $18, I think it was, or even $19 or $20. It was an insane move. So you don't have to play with a lot of money to make a lot of money, especially when you get an explosion like this. And for example, if we didn't get this move, if we kind of just if Roku failed this level and just kind of sold off, we get out for maybe a $60, $80 loss, or even less than that. It's all about managing risk, and that is the idea here. I would be glad to risk 60 cents on a contract to make 100%. That's an amazing day. So really no reason not to take the trade. We kind of see ghosts, and I think that's really important to understand, that you have to just trust yourself. It's all about learning. And for example, if Roku failed today, if we failed here, what could we have done? All right, sure, ES, NQ, not trending higher. Maybe it wasn't a super high quality trade, but maybe you do play this with one contract, and it's definitely a decent trade that could work out in your favor if huge. So again, you can play with small size if you're managing your risk extremely tight, especially with situations like this. But there were just so many confirmations on this trade not to take it, and not to at least take a stab at it, especially since we were watching this level for quite a few days now. So I hope that helps. I hope that improves your mentality when thinking about taking a trade, that we had so much going for this trade, and there was really no reason not to take this trade. Even in regards to the choppiness of NQ and ES. Again, I'm not going to take a trade if ES and NQ are completely selling off. And since we are trending higher every day, it seems like there's a pretty good chance, this stuff is going to happen. And there are going to be setups like this again. So next time we just got to capitalize even further on it. Maybe you play with a little bit more size, knowing that you have a great, beautiful entry, RBNR here. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, and thanks for watching.